So, hello everyone, and welcome to Android Study Jam Session 2. Today we'll be covering layouts. So, Yuvraj, I think we are live now.
Okay, just a moment. Okay, so hi
Yeah,
everyone. How are you all? So, as we discussed in the last session, that what exactly we are going to do. So, first of all, let me recollect it once again for you. So, what is our objective? What we need to do so that we can get that certificate and complete this program. So, let me share my screen. Give me a few moments. I'm sharing my screen. I hope I hope it is visible now. Is it visible?
yeah, yeah, wait.
So, yeah. Everybody, see, this is the main website where you all have to come. This is the website you have to see 100 times a day for the next 7 days. Actually, this is the third day of the 10-day long program of our Android Studio Gem, where we will be learning about native Android development. And this is the website where you will get all the material from. So basically, just giving a summary of what exactly you need to do. So there are 6 units: Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4, Unit 5, and Unit 6, which are named as Kotlin Basics. Like we discussed something about Kotlin Basics. I asked you to complete starting 3 pathways of the Kotlin Basics. Today we will be starting from the fourth pathway of the Kotlin Basics unit, that is unit number 1. After completing that, we will try to touch upon the unit number 2, that is layouts. Believe me, layouts is something that is very, very interesting and you will love it. After that, we will be doing the navigation, and I want you to emphasize your more on these starting units. We will try to create as much content as possible for these 3 units, because these 3 units are the fundamental for Android development. Rest of the 3 units are bit advanced, or we don't expect you to be veterans or masters in that. But I, as your facilitator of native Android development GDSC program, I want you to personally focus on the first 3 units and become masters of it. I want you to be the masters of the first 3 units. I don't want you to be, or I don't expect you to be master of unit number 4, 5, 6, because they are little bit advanced. Not that advanced, but yeah, they're little bit advanced. But if you know these 3 units well, then you are good to go for your journey of learning Android development to the veteran level. So let me show you, like, this is unit number 1. For all those who are joining us for the first time, please subscribe the channel. And if you think that we are helping you in some way or the other in learning Kotlin, then please give a like to this video as well. So this is unit 1, Kotlin basics. So you see that there are many pathways. Every unit will have many pathways, and every pathway will have several activities inside it. So for example, if you'll go to a pathway, then you will see that there are some activities you have to do so that you can complete it. Once you complete it, you have to give a quiz, and then you have to give n-1 correct answers. For example, there are 6 questions, then you have to give 5 correct answers to complete that quiz. In case it has 8 questions, then you have to give 7 correct answers to complete that quiz. So that's how this overall platform works. That's how we are going to run this program. That's how you are going to learn everything with us. Okay, apart that, there is one more important website you should be knowing, that is Kotlin Playground. So what we do on Kotlin Playground, so as we know, our complete development and our complete learning is going to happen on the platform named Android Studio. So I hope that all of you have downloaded and installed Android Studio by now. And but the thing is, Android Studio is a heavy application and takes a lot of time, so it is not possible, or it is not efficient to do many things, to practice small programs on it. So that's why JetBrains give us this particular good, fast, and enjoyable website, or this online code editor, whose name is Kotlin Playground, and we will also be using it today. So one thing about Kotlin Playground is, like, in the today's session, this is actually, I'll try to keep it more hands on. I want you to code. I don't want you to just see the code and just mug up things. You won't be able to last long in Android development if you are going to do things in this way. So I want you to code along with me. So for that, what we can do is that I'll ask you to code something, then you will code that thing, and by clicking on the share button, you will get a link. You can copy that link, and when I'll ask you that please copy that link to the comments or give it in the comments, you can paste this link to the comments, and then I can see your code. Okay, if required. So that was it for the introduction. Let's get started. I hope you all are excited. At least I am very excited. I am super excited for today's session because we will be learning a very good and interesting topic today, that is object oriented programming. Though we are not going to learn it in depth, but we will see like what are the basics, what exactly, or at least what actually class means. Like in at least in layman's, we'll try to understand that what classes are, what objects are. I know that most of you, or like more than half of you, are from first year, so you might not be knowing what exactly object oriented programming is, why do we use it, and so on. So just be patient, have excitement, be creative and enthusiastic, and be with us. So let's start. Okay, so this is Android Studio Study Gems Android Basics session 2. And first of all, before doing anything, we are going to get a synopsis of ASJ session 1. We really enjoyed ASJ session 1, so it is the time to recollect what exactly we learned in the ASJ session 1. So the first thing we learned there was we understood why do we do native Android development, because first of all, why do we do mobile app development, because there are a lot of mobile users, so it requires a lot of apps. And we also understood that it is not something about just building things. Actually, it is about creating ideas, making it come to reality. So that is all about mobile development, app development. Then we came to native development. We need native because native is faster, native can use every source of your or of your device, unlike other cross platforms which may work on different devices, but then they are not able to capture the complete capability of the device. That's not there in native. In native, you can capture the every possible strength and every possible efficiency of that particular device your app is running on. So native is too fast than cross platform, so that is something which makes native good. Apart that, coroutines is something that you will learn in your unit number 4. That is also something that makes native stand out of the cross platforms. After that, we got introduced to all the logistics. By logistics, I mean all the website. Even in the today's session, we started with the websites, what all websites you need to know so that you can uh, get a good understanding, get a good understanding in everything in this program. Everything related to any kind of content that is related to the ASJ is there on these logistics only. You need not to go anywhere else. Yeah, there is one more website where you have to go, and every developer has to go, and that is Stack Overflow. And if you don't know about it, you are soon going to know about it. And if you are doing development along, then for a long time, then it is possible that you start using Stack Overflow more than WhatsApp web. So anything is possible. Let's see. Now, then after that, we created our Google developers profile. So I will request you all, if you are there in this session today, if you haven't attended the last session, or by any chance you haven't created your Google developers profile, so this is the time. Go and create Google developers profile. Till then, I'm giving the synopsis of ASJ1. After that, we saw the syntax of few elements in Kotlin. Major of them were variables, condition flow statements. Then I told you the difference between what is where and what is well. Where is something, the kind of variables which are mutable, that is, you can change their values afterwards. But in well, you can't change their values because they are immutable, and they are similar to writing a variable or declaring a variable with the final keyword in Java. So I also compared it with Java, because Java is something you can consider as the sister of Kotlin. So yeah, it is good to compare it with Java. After that, we saw some few conditional flow statements, like if else if else, from which you can create you can give flow to your program by using conditions. That's why we call them condition flow statements. After that, we saw when statement, how to use it. We put a value inside, we give a value inside when, and then when it matches with any of the value that we have provided in the list, it gives the output corresponding to it. At the end we saw the function. We If you don't remember it, I want to remind you that there was this thing called fun main, and I told you that the main thing in Android development is fun. So that's why the first line you will ever write on this uh, playground, Kotlin playground. Now you might be you must be getting the feeling that everything is fun. Fun is main, okay, and then the website's name or the code editor, that's the online code editor, its name is Kotlin Playground, so everything is playground fun. So yeah, you must be getting that vibes, and you must be happy because you have chosen this native Android development. You are going to get have a lot of fun during the journey of learning Android development, especially native Android development. And I promise I make sure that you get most out of it in these coming days. After that, we learned how to create a new project in NS Studio, in which I asked you to remember one thing, that change the package name from com.example.xyz, where xyz is the my application name you write in the first field. So if you don't do this, then you won't be able to deploy your app on Play Store, because when you are deploying your app on Play Store, you can't have the package name as com.example.something, though it is by default, but you can't have it. Okay, so just keep this thing in mind. If you want, if you're that serious for your app, if you're that serious that yeah, I'm going to deploy it, otherwise you have to face consequences, you have to face some troubles, and I don't want that to happen with people like you. So after that, we learned how to create a new emulator. What is emulator? So emulator is nothing but virtual Android device. Then we were talking about why do we need virtual Android device, or when do we need virtual Android device rather, and when do we need physical device then. So the thing is, when you have to test your app on various other devices which you don't have, which you don't possess. For example, you want to test your app on a TV or a car stereo console. It is possible that you don't have that. So in that case, you're not going to ask your neighbors, knock knock, do you have that car console in your car so that I can test my Android devices? That's not possible. Okay, so what you do is you just go and create a virtual device. On that virtual device you can test it. Okay, if virtual device is so good, then why do we need our physical device to test apps? The thing is, virtual device takes a lot of your RAM. Okay, I can't explain like how much RAM it is going to take, and how much efforts it will ask your CPU to do. Then what happens is, because Android Studio in itself is a very heavy application, so if you are having something open simultaneously of equal weight, then it will be very tough for you, or at least it will be tough for your computer, and will say na na bhai itna nahi hoga. Then you will face lagging problems, and it sometimes I've seen that some of my friends they took 30 minutes for a single build. Okay, it depends more on your laptop or your computer machine specification, but then it's good to use physical devices. So then how to use physical devices? So basically you just need to go and enable your developer option in your phone. There are not many ways, there are just one or two ways depending on what phone you possess, and you can just search on Google how to enable the developer option, and for your phone you can enable the developers options. Once you do that, then you can use it as a physical device to test your own apps. One more thing you need to remember here: whenever you test your app on your phone, let's say I created an app, I installed it using the USB from the Android Studio, and now it's the time I want to do some flex. Now it's the time I want to show it to my friends. Then what I can't do is that I can't directly share the Android app which is appearing on my screen. That's not possible. Even if you try to do that, the person to whom you are sending that app, he will not be able to use it. So then, how to share apps? So I'll tell you how to share apps. So basically, you do something that's bit cunning, or not cunning but bit technical. So we will do that. It is actually building APKs. You build APK and you share that particular APK with your friends, or anyone. If you are doing an internship, you will share it with your head, or with your uh, 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 you can share it with anyone who needs it. Basically, that's the thing. So what is the objective of today's session? Oh, that's a good question. That's a good heading, and something I want to discuss. Creating roll the dice app. So we are going to work on a roll the dice app, a very fantastic fabulous app for learning or for starting kick starting the complete journey. So it is going to be first app for many of you, though it is possible that you have created your greeting app. That greeting app was our first app, but then it didn't have didn't has anything, or you can say it didn't has any kind of logic behind it. It was just a plain XML file, or you can say a plain layout in which there were two or three views. That's it. But now this one is going to be more interesting. Now you will have two views. One will be the image view, other will be the button view. Whenever you will click on the button, your dice will roll. And guess what? If you don't have a dice for your Ludo game, you can use your app. Okay, so we are creating something that will affect your that will have some impact on your life. Okay, I'm using the word impact just for joke. Okay, so after that, jokes apart, coming to introduction to object oriented programming is something very serious, but we will learn it in the most funny way possible, or the most like I tried my best to present it in a way like I wanted somebody to present it to me in the past when I was learning object oriented programming. So yeah, you will have fun. That's my promise. After that, we will be doing creating role that I set. See, I told you in the first session that you need object-oriented programming concepts to understand what Android development is, because everything in Android development, everything in Android Studio is just based on object-oriented programming. So it is impossible for you to get a complete hold of all the concepts in the Android Studio if you don't know about object-oriented programming. But then at the same moment, I also told that it is not required in the beginning. Why I said that? Because in the beginning, you can use your basic programming skills just to make simple logics for simple views. And for the beginning, it is not that important. So that is the reason I started with writing a program, writing a code which doesn't involve object oriented programming concepts. But then I want you to have some understanding of what actually object oriented programming is. Then I'll show you that whatever I've taught you, how to apply this. So because that's the important part, most important part, I would say. After that, we will have a basic introduction to layout editor. We might have the introduction to layout editor in the beginning itself. It is just written in a sequence that is I don't think we are going to follow it, but yeah, at least it lists all the objectives we are going to fulfill in the today's session. After that, we will learn how to create UI using XML code. What is XML? XML is extensible markup language. We will be doing things. अब डोंट फील ओवरवेल्म्ड कि भाई कॉटलिन इतनी मुश्किल से आ रहा था, अब एक्सएमएल भी सीखना पड़ेगा क्या? सो नो वरीज, एक्सएमएल इज वेरी सिंपल थिंग. वी विल लर्न इट in 5 minutes. Under 5 minutes you will be master in XML. So that's my promise. After that, we will be it is wrong to say that we will be creating tip calculator app. No, we will not be creating tip calculator app completely, but we'll start with some stuff of it. And then I'll give you some time, this evening time after this session. You can go and you can make it on your own. You can read the text and you can try to build it on your own. And then in tonight in an informal session, okay, so something about informal sessions, we will be having informal sessions like even yesterday we had a informal session, and from yesterday we will be having these informal sessions for the complete duration of this course. And if you have any doubts, you can come to it. But from tonight, as tonight itself, we will be discussing some topics as well, because the thing is, though this program will end on 5th of January, but then we will give you some few more days, like we will give you a deadline of 8th of Jan to complete everything that was in the course. I know a lot of many of you have classes on this time, but I can't tell you, like we tried our best. The thing is, we can't manage the timings because there's a lot of content and we want to cover a lot of content. So we are trying to create as much content as possible. Everything, every single thing will have its recording. So don't ever worry for anything. You can see any content anytime. Everything will be available for eternity, I would say, because we are not going to delete anything. After that, let's go to Android Studio and start creating. So before that, let me ask you one question, that as in the assignment as well, I gave you this thing that there are three kind of notations, okay, like camel casing, or you can say casing or notations. So can you identify, people in the chat, can you identify that in this line, let's go to Android Studio and start creating, what or how many different notations are there? Can you identify? Just tell me in the chat. How many notations are there? Can you tell me in the chat? So, anybody, anything? Am I not able to see the chats, or nobody has replied yet? Shish, can you confirm what's the case?
Well, they are replying actually.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see it on my phone. Okay, leave this. Okay, just seeing what have they. Okay, Pascal and Snake, Mohit Tiwari on fire, bro. Once again, you want to be the face of the day or whatever it was. So Snake and Pascal. Okay, so let's see what this one is Pascal. If I write it in this way, this will become camel, and this one is absolutely snake. Okay, so nice job, everybody. Like most of you gave the answer. Nitin, Devansh, Aditya, Shivam, and Shivam was like, everything is there. Choose whatever you want. Okay, so progressive and focused topper in life. You also gave the answer very correct. So congratulations, everybody. You understood the concept. Okay, now coming to something like what is views, or what are views, or how many different type of views are there. So basically, a person who doesn't have the literacy of Android, he will say that there are three views. One could be button, other could be image, and the last one could be text. He might not know that there are like a big list of views. There are more than 15, I guess, 15 views that you can create in the Android Studio. So I have shown this thing like this because I wanted to show that this is your phone. Okay, there will be some user interface that is called UI. On that UI, you will be able to see different views, and that views will be arranged in some manner, and that arrangement of views is called view groups, or we call it layouts. Okay, so we understood this thing that views are there which we can see on the screen. These views are arranged in different fashion, and those fashion or the different ways of arranging these views is called view groups or layout. Okay, so now let us see what different kind of views are there. Okay, so there is text view, there is edit view, there is a button view, image button, toggle button, radio button, radio group, rating bar, check box, progress bar, spinner, time picker, date picker, seek bar, alert bar, dialog switch. And believe me, there are even more number of views that are available for you while you will start working on the Android development. You will see a lot of views, and even today you are going to see a lot of them. Not you will not work with them, but at least I'll show you the glimpse of every view, or at least quite a large number of views. After that, we understood that there are some views. Now we want to know how these views can be arranged, or if these views are arranged in fashion, then how do we exactly create layouts. So let's come on this slide and let's try to understand about layout. So as you can see, there are four different fashions in which your views can be arranged, and based on these fashions or the style in which we arrange these views, we name it uh, by different names like linear layout, relative layout, grid layout, constraint layout. So this is not the end of the list. There are many different kind of layouts, like there were many different kinds of views. So I just gave you the list of those layouts which you will use as a naive Android developer, or in the very beginning, or you can say these are the very fundamental layouts. So first is linear layout. So whenever you are arranging your views in a linear order, it could be horizontal, like in this image. This is view 1, this is view 2, this is view 3. These views are arranged in a horizontal manner, but in a line. Okay, so you can see this linear sequence This is horizontal linear sequence. So these kind of arrangement of views is called linear view group. But in Android, while typing it in the code in the XML, we write it as linear layout. Okay, you understood this? If you have rotated this image by 90 degrees, then you might have got a view that you can call the linear layout, but with the orientation that is vertical. So linear layouts could be of two types. The one is this horizontal that you can see, and if you rotate it by 90-degree, it will be vertical. So there are two type of linear layouts. Now coming to relative layout. Relative layout is something in which you, what is the thing? The thing is that you have a screen. Okay, you have a screen. And one more thing, let's try to understand this thing. As we knew that there is a Cartesian plane. Okay, everybody knows Cartesian plane, abscissa ordinates, x coordinate is known as abscissa, and this y coordinate is known as ordinate. So everybody knows about Cartesian plane. We are learning Cartesian plane. We are doing things on Cartesian plane from since long. So I am assuming everybody knows about the Cartesian plane. Just like that, for giving the position of any view, we specify abscissa and ordinate. Okay, in these layouts, we by specifying abscissa and ordinate, I don't mean that we are going to type the abscissa and ordinate value, but what I mean is you will understand it in few moments, or after 5 minutes you will be able to understand what I mean when I am saying that you have to specify some position. Let's just take it as that you have to specify some position. So first of all, you need to understand what is positive x-axis and positive y-axis in our case. So as conventional Cartesian plane, we have this left to right direction as this positive x-axis, and also understand this thing that top left corner, that is this corner, is the origin for any screen. Like let's assume that this is the screen of a tablet, because it is like thoda sa bada hai, so let us consider that it is a screen of tablet. So this top left corner will be taken as 0 comma 0, and it is the origin. You have to remember that. What is the position of origin? Origin's position is the top left corner. Now, if you will go from this position to right, it will be counted as positive x-axis. But unlike Cartesian plane, if you go from top to bottom, then it will be considered as positive y-axis in our case. That is unlike the conventional way of making positive x-axis in Cartesian plane. We used to do it in the way like when we go from origin to the top side or towards the north, then we used to call it positive y-axis. But in our case, or but in case of Android, when we go towards the south from the origin, we call it positive y-axis. Okay, that's it. After that linear layout, we complete a linear layout thing. Now coming to relative layout thing. So why do I explain all this? The thing is, relative layout, in relative layout, you don't say that the position of this will be this or position of this will be this. You will say that position of this view will be somewhere in left of this view, and in right of this view, in the top of this view, and the bottom of that view. You just give a relative position of it. It is like there are three person, like A, B, and C. You know the position of A, let's say. Then you will say what is the position of B. Then you will say that B is in the right of A. So that is some kind of position for B, or some kind of specification of the location where B is currently. Okay, so this is something you do in relative layout. But in linear layout, you will say that they will be in a linear sequence always, either in horizontal or in vertical. So if A is here, so I'll go in the linear fashion, then I'll first encounter B, then I'll encounter C. That's for sure in the case of linear layout. But in case of relative layout, they could be in the right, left, bottom, top, in any place. So it is possible. Also, one more thing. Before learning constant layout, as we are going to learn constant layout majorly or mainly, though I'll try to cover linear and relative layouts as well in the informal sessions, but for in the formal session or this YouTube live session, we are going to cover the constant layout only. So in the constant layout, you have to understand this thing, that this, let's say this complete slide is just a view. Just consider it. Okay, just assume that it is a view. So this part, this edge, this top edge, this will be called, this is top. This is top. Simply, I'm just telling you the naming conventions, like what do you call this edge, what do you call that edge, what do you call this edge. Okay, so that's what I was doing. So let me continue. So this edge is called the top edge. This is edge is called the bottom edge. Now, don't be confused. This edge is not known as left edge. This edge is known as start, and this is known as end. So that was something I wanted to mention specifically, explicitly, so that you don't confuse it with left or right. Though in relative layout you will use the words left and right, but in case of constraint layout you will use these words start and end. Start is for the left edge, end is for the right edge. Top and bottom remains the same in every kind of layout. After that, this one more poor layout is left, and that is grid layout. So as you can see, what does a grid mean? So grid is just rows. There are rows. Though grid layout is not that poor. Okay, by poor I means there is nothing to explain in it. It's just a grid. Okay, but there could be cascaded grids, meaning that every row is not parallel, every column is not parallel. So these kind of grids also exist. These are, like, as you can see, this is a cascaded grid layout. It is not just a conventional simple layout, grid layout. So many modifications of grid layout are also there in the market. You can learn about them, and you don't know something now, and I will teach you that thing very soon, that you can use the code of other people from GitHub. Now how you are going to do that in your own project? I'm not talking about just cloning somebody else's project in your Android Studio and start working on it. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something that you can if you're working on your project, and you can take some code like a library is the correct word for it. So you can import or take a library, you can get the assistance by that code, and you can create these fancy things in few minutes. So if you are worried about like how will I create this complex thing, then don't worry, you will get the code. Okay, now intro to layout editor. Before going to layout editor, let's introduce ourselves to a simple code. Let's come on the Kotlin Playground. So we are going to do something. Okay, I'm just removing this code. Okay, I was doing something, let me remove it. The only problem with Playground is you can just have a single screen. Okay, means a single file. Otherwise, you have to log in with different IDs to get different screens, like different editors or files. But let's do it. Okay, so I asked you one question in the assignment. So let's see what question it was. So this was the question, that is tell my future. Okay, somebody. Okay, nice. Okay, so the question was tell my future. Okay, where is it? Okay, let's leave it. I know the question because I made that question. So the question was tell my future. So in that question, what you were asked to do was that let's see a file. I will be able to explain it better from there. I guess I should. Yeah, I have this. Okay, this is the dice. Wait. I'll take it from here. I believe that this person has made it correct, or we'll correct it if it is not. Okay, so, okay, no, it's not something good. Just a moment. Okay, yeah, this one was cool. I just need statements, nothing more. Okay, it will work. I'll make it work. The thing is, I asked you, I asked you to write a program. Okay, you have to do everything in main. Remember this thing. Whenever you are on this Kotlin Playground, if you are working outside of main, then your program will not be executed. So beware of this thing. Always be mindful of keeping everything inside main. Though you can declare classes outside it, and that is good. But then if you want to create objects, you want to instantiate those classes for creating objects, then you have to do all that stuff in the main only. Okay, so the question was that you need some kind of let's say that you have a integer range. Okay, in case of Android, or in case, or not in the case of Android, but in the case of Kotlin, you have a very special kind of data type which is not available in every other language, and that is int range. Like, what do we do from the int ranges? Let's define a range variable. let's define it range. Okay, so as you can see, I'll also mention the data type for now. So if this is int range, I declared the variable called range by the keyword well, that means it is a mutable, and then I mentioned the data type as int range, and then I initialized it with a value that goes from 1 to 6. Now this 1 and 6 both are inclusive. You have to remember this thing, that both of them are inclusive. It is nothing like that one is inclusive and 6 is not. Everything is inclusive, means the boundary values or the edge values are also inclusive in this case. Now what I want is, I want to generate a random number. Okay, so let's do it. Also, one more thing, that I am doing it in the lengthiest way possible, so that you can get a good understanding of whatever is happening, why is it happening, why I'm doing everything. Also, I'll also tell you some more keyboard shortcuts. For example, like a few of you are new coders, and like many of you are new coders, so we give an indentation of 4 spaces. That's the convention. So you need not to press space bar for 4 times. The thing you can do is, the alternative is, or the way we do is, we just tap on the tab button. The tab button gives you a 4 space indentation on its own. After that, you can declare one more variable by the name random integer. I'm just naming them in a way so that you can get what do they mean by their reading their names only. So it will be int, and let's say how to get this. So what we will do is, this is range. What is range? Range means 1 to 6. Now we will apply random function on it. Which function? Random function. What does random function do? Random function just picks a single integer from this 6 values. From these 6 values, it will pick a random integer, and then this value will get stored in this variable called random integer. Now what we are going to do? Okay, so we are going to, let's say we are going to predict the fate. That is, as that question asked you, what will be your fate? So let's say that there is a new variable whose value is fate. Okay, so we'll use the when statement. We learned about it. So what was the syntax? You have to write when, then in parentheses you have to give the value which you want to match with the values you will give in the code block. Like I'm going to write it, and you will understand what do I mean. So I will say that if it is 1, do this. If it, or execute this to be technically correct. 2, execute this. If it is 3, execute this. If it is 4, execute this. If it is 5, you can execute this. Okay, so I guess there were 5 statements only. So let's see where they are. Okay, I got it from someone. Yeah, here they are. Okay, so I'll take them. Control C. I'm here. Like I am this. And this. Please don't get offended if you get the last statement as your luck. It's just luck. It changes with time. Don't worry. Okay, I'm almost done. The most worst uh, thing is left, and like there it is. Okay, so we are done with it. So what does it mean? So it means that I am going to put a value or pass a value in when. And what is that value? That value is nothing but random int. And what is random int? Random is a random integer which is selected randomly from this sequence, or you can say, yeah, there's no word for it. You can say integer range. Yeah, that's the word. From 1 to 6. From these 6 integers, you randomly took an integer, you stored it in random int, then you will pass that random in the when. Okay, once you'll do this, what will happen is, when will say that when random int will be equals to 1, I will return this. When random int will be equal to 2, I will return this. Okay, so similarly, you can define it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or instead of writing 5, I could also write else here, because 5 is the only else condition which will be left after defining it for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so I did this much. Now let's do one more thing. Can you see one thing? Can you see one thing? Or wait, let me do it first. Print ln. Be ready. I'm going to ask something. Be vigilant. I'm going to ask something, and I print fate here. Now tell me, will it work? Just tell me. Okay. I'm going to remove my screen so that I can see data type. Yeah, it is a data type. Adit, it is a data type. So tell me whether where it is. Sorry. Tell me whether this program will work or not. I'm giving you 1 minute. It's 15:40 right now. I'll check your chats or comments on 15:41. So you have 1 minute. Just check whether it will work or not. One thing I want you to notice here is that unlike all the variables, I haven't defined the data type. We know that it is a string, but I haven't defined it. So this should make you some dubious about the thing, that whether this program will work or not. So it is 41 now. I'm going to see the chat or the comments. Yes, sometimes no, because fate is well, not where fate inside print. Okay. Aditya Srivastav says no. Wait, let's just execute it first. See, the thing is, I'll answer you every answer. I'll clear all your doubts this time. So first of all, the first thing was no, because fate is well, not where. Okay, the thing is, see, I want to cut this because every time I'm coming on this only. So yeah. So the first doubt was that it is well, not where. Okay. Who was that person who asked me this? Nitin. Okay, Nitin. Understand one thing. Well is immutable. That means once you assign it some value, you can't change it. Okay. So the thing is, when you are running this program, you haven't given any value to the fate yet. So when it is executing for the first time, you will assign it some value, or you will initialize this variable for the first time. Yes, it is true. If we are going to do this in iterations, if we are going to use this in iterations, we are going to run the same program several times, then it is possible that you can get an error that val is something that is immutable and you can't change it. But in this program, we run it for the first time and we initialized it for the first time, though we had many options to initialize, but then we selected one of that option to initialize it, and we initialized just once only. We never changed it value, executing it for the one time. So I guess it is clear. And now what's the okay, so what is this dollar fate? Okay, first of all, you have to put curly braces when you're putting dollar. Okay, the thing about this is, when you use this, okay, the thing is, whenever you are uh, doing this thing inside a let me do it, no. So this is the thing. So when I'm writing this, like I'm using a string, this is called this thing what you asked. I guess Akash asked me this thing. Let me see the name, Akash Tiwari. Okay, yeah. So Akash, the thing is, when you are creating string, let's say the fate is not always good, but here is yours. Okay. I'm just randomly writing anything I'm getting in mind right now. So yeah, so now this is a proper string. Okay, though fate was also a string, but then it was a string in itself. But now what the difference? What is the difference now? Now it will print the fate is not always good, but here is yours, and here you got the fate as a word, not as a name of variable. Now inside a string, you want to give the reference of a variable, then you use this formatting strings, and you don't use parenthesis, you use curly braces. Now see, okay, so now you got the answer. The fate is not always good, but here is your, you will get 10 SGs this time. This is mind blowing. I haven't thought of it that it is going to come up like this. Like this is a perfect sentence I could make out of all those five sentences. So Akash, your fate is actually good. Okay. So the fate is not always good, but here is yours. You will get a 10 SG this sem. Wow, what a sentence. So you understood, right? That when you are going to give a reference to a variable inside a string, then you use this thing. And when you're going to give a reference just for a single variable, you can even omit this thing like this, and still it will show you the same thing. Now this time the fear is not good. Let's move on then. So any other doubt? Fate can't be changed. Okay, int random int. Aditya wants to say that int random. Acha, Aditya said that it will not work because, Adit, can you elaborate? What did you want to say then? Sorry, I missed it. It will work. Shivam said it will work. Adit, meanwhile you're doing it, I want to do something more. Let's see what else I can do. So I guess, yeah. So I was explaining that in this, didn't write string. I didn't specify the data type, but still it worked. Yeah, Kotlin is like, Kotlin is smart language like Python. If you are a Pythonista, you might know that this thing that you need not to give or specify the data type if you are declaring it. Sorry, not declaring it, but initializing it. When you're initializing it, then these modern languages has this ability, or you can say capability, that they can judge which kind of data type is the value you assigned to that variable. So you can omit every single data type I ever mentioned in any variable, and you will always get the answer that will be correct. Okay, so that was one more thing. And I don't think nothing more is there in this program, in spite of the fact that we can shorten it. Okay, how we can shorten it? Just do one thing. Instead of writing random int here, just put 1 to 6 and do random function here only. Now you don't need these two variables. Okay, this kind of code that can be cut out from the overall program, and the program will work exactly the way it was working. So such kind of code, or such kind of lines of code, are called redundant lines or redundant code. So I'm removing that redundant code. We never want redundant codes. So here it will work again the same manner, and it is good. Now let's come to the main thing, that is creating this app. Okay, so understand this thing. This whole exercise of doing this fate thing was not just an assignment, not just an assignment. It was preparation for you to create the dice rolling apps logic. Dice rolling apps logic will be very much the same. Okay, I got the code for it to save the time, but if you say we can do it, like, we can always do it. We have the time. We can take informal sessions, or I'll create content, I'll upload it on either on YouTube, or I'll upload it on Google Drive. Anyways, you are going to get everything, don't worry. So let's take our time, let's do it the perfect way possible. So let's see, think that let's comment it out. Perhaps we might need anything from it. So let's do it for dice. Okay, so now I have dice. Okay, so let's say, let's use it. Okay, let's use it. The logic is the same. Okay, so let's use it. So dice also has six faces. We know I'm talking about the conventional dice. I'm not talking about the eight face dice or nine face dice. We will be talking about those dices as well today. Okay, so remain excited, remain energyful, remain mindful. Okay, so variable fate instead of that. Now we are going to use this in our Android app, where we will be doing iterations over it. Like somebody pointed out that you are using well, you should use well, but then it was not required, but in the app you will need it. Okay, so I'm converting it to the where, because there will be iteration on the same thing. Though if you create classes, then there will be no iterations. So but just not talk about classes for now. Let's just talk about the simple programming. We are simple people, we will work in the simple way. So variable, let's say dice result. Okay, I'm just doing it dice result. Okay, so dice result is a variable that is of type string, and I told you that you need not to specify the data type, so you can omit it. So dice result is something when it also has six integers only, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you will select a random number from 1 to 6. Okay, and then this one will say that you got one. What do I mean by this? That whenever one comes, I'm saying just make a statement or make a string that says you got one. Similarly, I'll do it for all other. I have to add one more because then we were doing it for five. Now we have six. You Okay, sorry, I forgot that there were five statements, but I declared it six. Okay, yeah, it should be five then, but for now it will be six. It didn't create any problem. It's not an issue because everything was like after four, the both the cases like 5 and 6 both were getting covered by the else. That's why our program didn't fail. But in case we have mentioned five, like in the earlier program, we have only mentioned five and we didn't mention like in the else way, by this way of writing else, then if in any case 6 would have appeared at that time, then this could lead to program failure, or in the case of mobile app it will be a crash. We call it app crash, means crashing of the app basically. So that's why it is better to have else as the last value checker, because it is possible, and as you saw that it is possible that you might forget some case, so it is all covered in else. So at least see, you can get a incorrect value, but then at least your app will not crash. Okay, that's the thing. So what I was writing, you got five. So one, then two. Wait, let me show my fast typing skills here. Four, five, and now it's the six. Okay, you got six. So that's it. Now what do I want is I want to display the dice result here. Now it will be very similar to a dice. Okay, what happens in a dice? You just take the dice and you just roll it to get a number. The similar thing will happen when I'll click on run button. So you got one, you got two. These are just random numbers or the random results which we are getting from this code of dice. So you basically understood how we are going to create the code of dice, or what is the logic behind giving the random faces or the random results to the dice. Okay, you understood this much, so we are pretty much done with the logic. Now the interesting thing comes, and we will be talking about it. Let me think, like, before what we should do now. Either we can cover the object oriented programming part, or we can jump on the layout editor and can see what layout editor can do. But then I am postponing the layout editor for now. First of all, let's go to oops and understand how we can make this thing more efficient. Okay, so if you attended the first session, that you might know that my way of teaching or my way of learning is this WWH formula. So anybody who remember the meaning of WWH, please comment it fast. What is the meaning of WWH formula? Anybody? Come on, guys, come on, come on, come on. WWH formula. Let's see. Why, what, and how. Rahul Bajaj won the game, won my heart, won the world, won the universe. And Adis Srivastav is like, कि मैं भी किसी से कम नहीं. Okay, so you wrote HPW, but I understood it as how. Okay. So yeah, so we will be doing this thing for our object-oriented programming concept as well. We will try to understand object-oriented programming by the use of WWH formula. So let us first, so it is going to be very interesting. You have to be with me in this. Okay, I'll ask questions and you have to answer it. So just be standing on your keyboards right now. So why do we need OOPS? So I'm going to explain you the need of object-oriented programming. See, the thing, object-oriented programming is not a necessity. It's just a programming paradigm. What is a programming paradigm? Programming paradigm is just a way of programming in some other way, in some manner that it makes your program efficient. Like object oriented programming, we have one more concept. We are not going to discuss that for sure, but that is called functional programming. So Kotlin is something in which you can apply or you can use both of these concepts, and they will make your programs as efficient as you, like as efficient as anything. Okay, so for today the aim is object oriented programming. So let's try to understand what is the need of object oriented programming. I can do programming, I just made the logic for this. Why do I need object oriented programming? I'm good with it. Okay, I'm not going to learn the object oriented programming. No, let's understand this thing in this manner, that we are going to let's say Shish is the programmer. What he's doing, Shish is making the bits go a student database. Okay, so first of all I came to Shish and then I asked Shish that store my name. So Shish was like, oh, that's very easy. Let's do one thing. Let's declare a variable and we will also give the data type. We will mention the data type and I will store your, Shish is saying to me, I will store your name in a variable. Okay, then I asked Shish that store my grades. Okay, then Shish was like, there will be many variables. If I want to store all your grades, then Shish was like, wait, I have a subtle approach for this. Then what Shish did, Shish created array for the grades of like for every semester. He created a separate array for storing the grades, and by this manner he saved his time, his memory, his space, and everything by a huge margin. Let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14, like whatever number of variables are there, it will be like 42. If Shish was doing this by variables, then Shish need 42 different variables, and that much of druggery is something that is like nobody wants to do. Okay, so Shish was like, Shish is super proud of himself that I got a subtle way of doing this, and I didn't need this variables. Now I can do by the help of array. So one thing you should understand and you should appreciate is that when our requirement changes in terms of space, in term of size, our way of doing the same thing. What was the thing? The thing was to store the values. Our our approach changed seeing the size of the thing. Okay, our approach changed. Okay, we are going and we are moving towards understanding what is the actual need of and object oriented programming. Just be with me, be vigilant, be mindful. Now I asked Shish, like, calculate SG, calculate my SG of SAM1. Okay, it's not looking that good, but okay, I'll see. Okay, so Shish created a program, by which he calculated the SG, my SG of the SAM1. Then I asked him to do it for SAM2 and SAM3 as well, and assume that I am a fourth year student, so I'll ask him for SAM3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and no, it's just 8. So I'll ask him to do this program for 8 times. She said, bro, I am very, very, very smart than you think. What I'll do is, I will create a code to create or to calculate your SG, and then I'll store it in a function. What will it do? It will do the same thing for different variables. Now you can understand why we call them function. So when you want to do something or some function over different values or over different inputs, then you use something or some kind of like what we'll say element of coding that is called function. So he just created calculate sg function, and he gave the he took the parameters grade array and he gave the different arrays to calculate my sg in the double form. Okay, now she's super happy, super proud of himself, and he's like, I won the world. But here comes the twist. Here came my complete batch. Now calculate the sg of all the batchmates of Yuvraj. Okay, damn, how I'll do this? I can create, I can store names, I can store grades by arrays. I can even calculate SG, but for a single person, bro, I can't do it for a crowd with this much size. Now Shrish is like, ठीक है भाई, अब मैं चलता हूँ. तो you have to understand this thing. We have an actual problem. We could do this thing for a single person. By the way, I am sitting right here. So but for all of them, how could I do this? That's the question, and that's the requirement. So for that purpose, we use object oriented programming. So when we have a kind of thing or kind of working that is similar or that is common in every different real object. What do I mean by real object here? These students are the real objects here. Okay, so when I have everything common, like at least the attributes are common. What do I mean by attributes? I mean that at least the name of variables are common. For example, name, uh, PR number or application number or the batch or the year. These things, at least these questions, these are some questions. What is your year? These questions or these unfilled values are same. What is going to be different in every other object? The value we will fill inside these things. Like inside name, if we fill a value, for example, shish, then it will become a specific thing. Then it will become an object. Okay, so now I have answered you why do we need object oriented programming, because it is impossible to do these kind of things on a huge set of data. It is impossible, or it is very difficult, or it is very inefficient, you could say. So that's how I explained you why object oriented programming is important. Now I am going to tell you what exactly object oriented programming is. Though see it, I am telling it beforehand that it is not UML diagram, though UML diagrams look similar to it, but no, this is not the perfect UML diagram. Okay, you don't know UML diagram, so leave it. The thing is that I am saying that there is some kind of template. Just don't go my way. Just try to understand. I am just trying to tell you only the basics, the extreme basics, or the very small basics of classes and objects, so that you can get an understanding of what exactly object oriented programming is. I'm not talking about syntax, I'm not talking about anything that is technical, I'm just talking about the simple stuff. Okay, so what is a class? So you can take class as a template in which you have some kind of attributes. I'll also tell you what do I mean by attribute, what do I mean by functions, methods, and everything. But for now, just think that they are some kind of storage units. Just take them as this some kind of storage, and you know that variables are some kind of storage unit in which you store some value. So you have some common storage units or common variables which uh, which don't have any value yet. Okay, but it is common in every student. That's there. So like this is a class which contains only the attributes or only the templates which has no value. It is like a class is something like your ID card which has no value. Like it has a field of name but there is no name written. If it has a value of, sorry, a field of application number but there is no application in that. So a unfilled ID card is more or less like a class in which you, or the better word or the word everybody will use whenever they will teach you object oriented programming is that it is the blueprint. Okay, it is the blueprint. Once you start providing values to every attribute, then you start making it character, you start giving it characteristics, you start making it different, you start making it an object in itself. For example, like this is a class called student. Okay, I made an object by the name of student 1. I first of all what I did is I gave a name. So this is student 1. So this field was there for all of the objects. But see, the value of this field in all of the objects is different. For this one, it is student 1. For this one, it is student 2. Or for this one, this is student number 3. And in the similar fashion, you can see that the name is in every class, sorry, not in every object, but the name ka value is not the same. In the first one it is Arnav, in the second one it is Dho, in the third one it is Karthik. So though every object will have the same properties, now you are getting the correct definitions. Every object will have the same property, but the different value or the set of different values will be there. Okay, that's class and object relation. And expanding more on it, you can see that there could be variables and functions as well. So a class is like something that is a template, like a ID card which has no values. You start writing values in it and giving it to your friends, then it will start becoming objects because now it has some value, it has some characteristics. So that is the thing. And every class, whatever is there in a class, there it will be there in the object, but with some values inside it. That's the thing. Okay, we will be talking about what classes is, what subclasses is, what parent class and child class is, what is an abstract class, what is a data class, and what is a sealed class, and lots of jargon is there for you to comprehend and you to understand. And I'll be there with you when you will be learning it. So don't worry about that. We need the small understanding of object oriented programming for understanding the simple code of the dice roll, the dice app. So that's how that much was enough for now. Now let's program. The best part, the best part of any presentation is when we program. Okay, so let's start with it. Before it, I'll go and see if there are any. Okay, everybody was on fire. Everybody was like, "I'll tell you why, what, and how. Why, what, and how." Okay, nice, nice, nice. Somebody wrote what, when, and how. Okay, you could say that. And sometimes we have to frame it in this way: what, when, and how. Like in case of when I was talking about AVD, that is Android Virtual Device, then this formula was correct. That what is AVD? What is Android Virtual Device? After that, when do we use it? Okay, why doesn't sound good there? But when do we use it? So there, what, when, and how could be something that can fit. But except that we use this formula for understanding deep concepts like why, what, and how. So let's come to the code. Let's try to do the code. Okay, so this there is a lot of thing. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's start by creating classes. I think that we are a bit less on time, so I can use a code snippet. That way I will not need to write anything, but then you won't be able to get that much. So what to do? Okay, I'll code. That will be better for you to understand it. I said that though I know the time is less, but still, my priority is you understand whatever I am teaching. It's not like I cover a lot of stuff, but then you don't know what it was. So let's do it. So what we will do is we will create a class by the name of dice. So this was the way, like how you define a class. Like at least I can copy this and I can tell this to save some time. Wherever, see, I'm using code snippet. Apologies, but if you have any confusion, you can ask me. I will be telling each and every line. I know it would be better if I can type it, but then it takes a lot of time and we are running short on time. Okay, so apologies for this. Now let's see what is this. So the class syntax is very easy. So I will tell you everything, but don't worry that nothing will be missed. Class, you have to use this keyword. What are these things which are in different color? Why there is a different color for these things? They are they are keywords. So keywords in any language is something that has some meaning behind it, that has some special meaning behind it, and you can't use it for naming some variable or for naming some function. Okay, so these are the meaning of keyword. And class, where, fun, all of them are keywords. That is why they are represented with the orange color. Now coming to it, there is a class whose name is dice. Okay, now what is this? What is this? So in a class we call this a constructor. So this is a shorthand notation of writing a constructor. The full-fledged way of writing is like this: constructor. So the full-fledged way of writing it is like this, but as I terminated, or as I remove redundant codes, so I'll also remove it for this time as well. The similar way I remove the code for like defining the data types. Similarly, you can omit this as well. Keep as less code as possible. That's always good for the other person to understand whatever you have written, and it is even easier for you to manage it. Okay, so this is a constructor. And what is a constructor? What do you mean by a constructor? As the name suggests, constructor is something that will construct something. Okay, then what it will construct? Nothing. It will construct object from that class, similar to like you have a blueprint. Okay, let's take a real world example. You have a blueprint that is called a class. Now you take a constructor to construct an object using that blueprint. The same happens in the computer science as well. We, what we do, we have a class, we also have a constructor, and that constructor will give some values that will be put in that class so that we can get an object out of it. Okay, so that's the thing. So here we have defined a constructor that is a variable in itself. Okay, and the other way I could do this was I could have written it in this way: variable num faces. And you need not to mention these data types. I'm removing it for every single variable just to maintain the consistency of my own programming in front of you. Okay, yeah. So the other way I could do this was I could have just written it as a simple parameter. Okay, and then like let's add an underscore so that you can differentiate what is this. Okay, so then I need to use a init, and inside init I need to write, sorry, it was my mistake. I need to write here this thing num faces, and I have to give the value of num faces to num faces. What it will do is that whenever you are creating an object by this class, what will happen is this num face, we will get some value. Let's say 5. We got some value. Let's don't think about it. Let's don't think, just think that we got some value 5. So what will happen is this is initialized. This code block will always be executing whenever you are whenever this code is initialized, or yeah, whenever this code is initialized, this init block will be executed. So I declared a variable by the name of num faces. If it is creating any kind of problem, you can do a late init, but not, let's not go into that for now. Let's just see that in it you can write, you can give the value of this variable, you can give it a value of num faces which you got from outside, and then you can use the variable num faces. But if you want to do it directly, you can omit all this redundant code, and you can directly declare a variable here only. You will see all this. See, I know that you are if you're watching this for the first time, you will feel overwhelmed. Oh, I missed that concept, I don't remember it now, although he explained it well, but I don't remember it. Don't worry, when you see the text, you will practice it on your own, you will able to recall everything I am telling you right now, so don't worry for it. Now what is the thing? Let's come to the thing. Okay, what was the thing? Yeah, even I forgot what was the thing. Oh damn. Okay, the thing was that I can do that all functionality of that redundant code by just writing a variable here, by declaring a variable inside the constructor only. I can do that thing. Now what I'll do is, here is a class. We understood the first line means that there is a class whose name is dice, and always remember this thing, that every class is named by the Pascal notation. Like I floated a form today for the assignment, and I asked you just to find out wherever the Pascal notation is used. So I saw that people wrote that it is used for naming the classes, but then some people also wrote that it is used to write or used in the names of the Kotlin files. So understand this thing, guys, that whatever is your class name, it should be the same and identical to the name of your Kotlin file. So if you are saying either of it, it just means the same, that you are referring to the same thing. So if it is class main activity, then the name of your file should be main activity.kt only. There is no other option for that. You can't do anything else. Okay, so that was it. So class dice has a constructor, or you can say class dice will take a value from outside whenever you are creating its object, and that value will be an integer, and it is stored under a variable whose name is numfaces. Now what we are going to do, we are going to define a variable name, dice name. Why I'm doing this? I have a special purpose in my mind. I want to do something. Just take it this for now as like I will declare a device name, and I'm giving it a default value. A default value. I'm initializing it with a default value. That default value is dollar, and this is just a formatting string. We call it formatting string. A string, at least in Python we call it formatting string. I don't know what we call it in Kotlin, but I guess it is formatting string in this case as well. So we will write the dice name, or we will take the dice name as, we will see like if you have passed 5 here, so dice name will be 5 faced dice. If you have passed 4 here, then dice name will become 4 faced dice. If you have 3, then it will become 3 faced dice. You understood this thing. Now the thing we should try to understand is that I showed you, just a moment, I showed you that there is a class, and this class has variables. You were well and good with the variables, but it will also have these functions. Okay, these functions are also there, but the definition of the function remains same for all the objects. Yeah, this will be there until and unless you have an abstract function, then you can define various other definitions for, sorry, yeah, definitions, or you can say you can initialize, no, you can declare it with, or you can give it different code blocks inside it. But we are not going to talk anything about abstract and all for now. We are just, I'm just saying ki whatever function is there, whatever functionality that function is fulfilling for you, will be fulfilled the same way for all the 3 objects, irrespective of what these objects are, from where they made, what their attributes are. Okay, so that's why I was telling all this. The reason was that there is also a function that's called role. I named it role. Okay, what does role function do? So role function basically does the same job you learned in that assignment, that was assigning a random value, and from that random value getting output. Okay, so println, so let's remove the redundant code from here. Though you are very familiar to this code, that whatever is written inside this function, you know that variable dice range is something that goes from 1 to num faces. Why I wrote 1 to num faces? Because this time we are thinking, or we are using a dice which could have any number of faces. A dice that could have 3 faces. Okay, 3 faces are not possible. 4 faces, 5 faces, 6 faces, 7 faces, 8 faces, and any number of faces. Okay, so any number of faces are there. We are considering any kind of dice. So whatever we will give, whatever value we will give in the number of faces while creating that particular object out of that class, we will consider that this dice will have those many faces. And now you can't write 6 here. You understood why we can't write 6 here, because number of faces can vary depending on whether this dice is 7 faced or 8 faced or 9 faced or whatever it is. Okay, so random int was their dice range. You are just selecting a random number out of this dice range. And what you're doing is, now we, instead of giving different id, sorry, instead of giving different outputs in print statement, when we will be working in that Android app, what we want to display for every different output. See, there are a lot of ways to express output. Text is one of them, or the most naive of them. The better one is image, and more better one is animations, and more, even more better is like videos, transitions, anything you can do. But the most naive approach is text. We saw how to give output using text, but in this app we will try to see that how can we give output using images. Okay, so just wait and watch. Wait, don't wait and watch, just try to practice whenever I say. Okay, so variable face image resource. Okay, I'm just writing it in this way so that it will help us to understand what I exactly mean by this variable when we will be working with it in the Android Studio. So for now, don't worry for it, just take it as this name, that it is face image resource. As you know, there is a lot of redundant code. First of all, I can remove this data type, then random int can be directly replaced by 1 to num faces. What was this? Dot random. See, this code is incorrect. Why this code is incorrect? Always remember, whenever you are doing this, let me show you that this is incorrect. See, this is incorrect. Why is this incorrect? This is incorrect because many of times we forget to put parentheses here. If you are defining int range, then you have to put parentheses. Why? Because otherwise it will be confused that you are writing numface.random or 1 to numface.random. So whenever there is see, computer is not something that has artificial intelligence. Oh, I am wrong in this, but Android Studio is not something that has artificial intelligence. Or whenever there are more than one options, either Android Studio will ask you that at select one of them, or otherwise the app will crash. Okay, so there were two options. Computer will not choose options on its own. So here you have to do make this parenthesis to make it clear to the computer that I mean that this is a int range, and from that int range I want to select a random value. So that was it. I can remove I removed everything. Oh yeah, so this is the thing. Let's try to run it. Okay, I missed one braces. Where did I miss one brace? So this is class. Okay, cool. This is class, and this is the this brace is ended here. Okay, I need one here. So that's how I completed the dice. Now let's run it. Now tell me in the chat what I'll get as output when I'll run this program. What I'll get as output when I'll run this program. It is 420. I'll check your chats or comments at 421. Yes, yes, yes. Think out of the box. No, you need not to think out of the think inside the editor. See everything, read every single line. Otherwise, you may give a wrong answer. I guess this much time is sufficient. Let's see. Whatever. No output, nothing. Right answer. Why no output? Because I told you, if you want to get any output, first of all, do something in main function. If you're not doing anything in main function, you're not going to get anything. Now, what we are going to do? Now we are going to create objects. See, this is a, what is this? This is a class. What is a class? Class is just a blueprint. Okay, though I gave a default value, but it can change for different objects. Okay, like for a dice, it could change. I'll show you how. Okay, similarly this role function will remain the same for everything. This is not a very exhaustive example, so you might not appreciate the use of object oriented programming here, but when you will be doing a lot of work full of drudgery, where you will need subtle approaches to make the program efficient, you will definitely appreciate the importance of object oriented programming. And wait, we will do some assignments on it. Okay, just wait for that. Not now, not in the live session obviously, but on the group we will do that. So what I was doing, what I was going to do, see, there is a thing like when you were storing values in variables, what were the words we used to use? That were, you declare a variable, you initialize a variable. Declaring a variable means that you allot a location memory, you just write a val, some name, that is declaration. When you give it some value, when you put some value uh, inside that memory, then it is initialization. That means you're giving a value or assigning a value. Now, there is one more addition to this terminology. There is one more term that we use when we are doing it with objects. So we use this word called instantiate. We can declare an object, we can initialize an object, but then we have to instantiate it. What is instantiation? See, break this word. Sciation is something that will always say that it is a kind of process. Okay, throw it. We took process, we threw this tation in the end. Now the word that remained with us is instance. What is instance? Instance is this specific scenario of anything. Okay, specific scenario or specific condition, constrained, uh, something that is built in constraint, or something that is very specific, that has some characteristic, that have many characteristics in fact. Okay, so such kind of things are called instance of this, instance of that. Similarly, an instance of a class, we make objects by instance of class, and this process is called instantiation. Okay, so we will instantiate dices. Okay, let's do it right now. So variable, let's say we have a red dice. It is a red dice. Okay, for red dice, I am doing this dice. I told you that whenever I will use the blueprint or the class called dice, I'll always provide it with some integer to tell it what to construct, or what, in what way to construct, because this is the constructor. And in this I give it a value, the integer value, that will decide the object or the instance which is going to create it, going to be created by my dice class or blueprint will have how many faces. So in this case, let me write 6. Okay, I got it. Okay, now let's do one thing. As I told you earlier, that this let's do one thing. Let's print out the name of this dice, the dice name first. Print ln. So I'm not using multi-line things, so I could write print as well. But just to make some habit, you can use print ln every time, just to be on the just to maintain the consistency. Now I'll write red dice dot. What does dot represent? Dot means, see, like in if you know about the directory hierarchies or things like this, then you might know that if you dot something, that means you go inside it. Okay, so dot basically represents inside it or off it. Okay, red dice dot dice name. So what it means is dice name of red dice. Okay, so I'll print it. Okay, so what it should be, seeing the code, what it should be, this what should be the output of this program. I'll see your comments on 426. What should be the output of this program? Try to answer. Also, wait, I'm removing this. No, there is no need. Like, we haven't called a role function yet, so there will be no output from role. There will be just a single output, and that will be from the main, and that is red dice dot dice name. So what will be the answer? Just type it in the chats. I'll comments. I'll see it right now. Let's see what you got. Not six face dice. Okay, six face dice. Okay, it went six faced dice. Okay, so all of you who wrote dice with small d are wrong. Because it's not the same string. Okay, like in future when you will do the CS courses, you will understand that if you don't write the output exactly in the manner it should be, then you will lose marks. So it should be in the capital letter, the D capital. It should be capital, but I got the thing that you understood the idea. That was sufficient for me to move ahead. So the answer is six-faced dice. So that was it. Now let's do some oops panti. Let's create many other objects. Let's create one with the name of variable called black dice with dice. I'll take 8 sides this time. Again, I'll print its name. Red dice instead of red, I'll write black. Okay. Oh, so sorry. It's not capital L, it's small l. Let's add one more. Its name is like, let's say, what else? My favorite color is green. I'm gonna write green dice, and I don't have any special number. Okay, I'll type 4 for some specific reason. Okay, print ln, this will be green in this case. Okay, now what should be the output? The output should be this is a, it will be like a, six face dice, then a eight face dice, then a four face dice. It should be the expected output, and it is the same. Now let's do something. Let's change the name. I don't want this format of name. I just want that if the dice is red, I will say this is a red dice. So what I can do is I can use this object, and then I can use this dot, and I can access the, sorry, yeah, true, red dice, and then I can access the dice name. See, every object of a class will have all the fields that were there in the class. By fields, I mean attributes, and you can extend this definition for functions as well. So every object of any class will have all the properties, or the object, sorry, all the attributes, that is variables, and all the functions of that class. Okay, so there is a slight terminological, what to say, juggling of words. Like, I'll do that as well for you, but for now it's not required. So for now, let's just understand in simple manner. Just write that it is red dice. Similarly, do it for black and do it for green. Wait, let me copy paste from here, finally I get to use my code snippet. Okay, so I defined three objects by this manner. I defined red dice, a dice with sides 8 sides, blue dice with 6 sides, and let me change the black for 4 just to give the diversity. And for everything, I named them, I renamed them, I would say, I renamed them by red dice, blue dice, and black dice. And then I called the roll function. Role function will remain the same for everyone. Okay, it will print the face image resource. Face image, don't go on the name. Face image resource is nothing but a string out of these many strings, which is randomly picked from this collection of strings. The collection is not a correct word technically. Collections means something else in Kotlin, but I'm not going into the technical jargon of Kotlin. I'm just saying it in layman terms. So yeah, where we were, yeah, face image resource. So it will be just a string which will print it here. Let me print it for you. Okay, yeah, okay, I didn't explain you. I want to explain that in this example what I did was I take a red dice dot dice name is equals to red dice, and then I call the red dice dot roll function. Okay, what this red dice dot roll function will do. So this will not be you got one, you got two. It will be like you got one in dice name. Let's say it is dice number one, then it will say you got one in the red dice. Let's say it is dice black dice, then it will say you got two in the black dice. So when I'll execute this, it will show that you got six in red dice, you got three in blue dice, you got three in black dice. It's just a random affair of things that is making it three and three coming again. One is coming again again. So let's see. Oh, four is coming again. It's just random. Okay. I'm just doing it so that you can see that everything is discrete. So finally, I got some value. Oof, I got some value that in where I have all the values different for the number I got in that. So what is the thing you should understand? This is the moment you should stop for a moment and appreciate object-oriented programming. If I asked you to create a red dice with some code in which you have to roll, like you created, firstly you created the program for a dice only when you were rolling it and you were saying you got one, you got two, you got three, like this. So what if I ask you that do it for 100 or n number of dices? You will be like, oh damn, I can't do it for these many number of dices. Even if I can press Control C and Control V for 100 times, but then what is the need of that? We have this thing called object oriented programming that reduced the size of this much code to this extent. Okay, and this like you will understand the difference as you start to increase the size of your program. So as your size will keep on increasing, your understanding and your appreciation for object oriented programming will keep on increasing. Okay, so that was the thing. That was all about the object-oriented programming I wanted to cover today. Now we will go to Android Studio. We will do some things. We will do some magic. We will create app. We will come out of the app and then we will close the session. I guess this session is going to last for half an hour more. So if you don't have the time, you can go to your respective, like you, if you have lectures, then you can go and attend your respective lectures. We are always there on YouTube for time eternal. So we are eternals, bro. So yeah, so that's the thing. So don't worry, we are trying to create as much content as we can. That's our only intention. Okay, you, if you're missing classes because of any genuine reason, it's fine. The content is always there for you. Now let's go to Android Studio Darshan. So here we came. So as I told you that whenever I will not introduce Android Studio to you in single glance, but instead of that, I will introduce Android Studio in a way that whenever we will require something, we will go to that thing and we will see everything about that particular thing. So for now, or for this time, first of all, the something it's there that you should understand, and you need to understand, otherwise you won't be able to do it on your own. So this is the most condensed form of the project pane or project panel, whatever you want to say. So in here you can see that there is manifest. So we don't need manifest, though manifest is a very integral and important part of Android development. You will deal with this file when you will be creating multi-screen apps, when you will be doing these navigations and all, when you want not in navigations exactly, but then if you want to change your first screen, if you want to give some permissions, if you want to give permission of, sorry, if you want to ask for the permission of camera, for sound recorder, for anything like that, for any purpose of that sort, you will need this file called manifest. I'm just giving a small summary, though I'm not defining it exactly, because I'll define it when it is required. The other directory is Java, in which you go to com. So this project's name is java.com.dsc.android-dice roller dot main activity. So that's why it is so long. You need not to keep a so lengthy name. If you have named it in a way that like com.dsc.main dice roller, then this Android thing you could have omitted. Okay, so but it doesn't matter. It's just creating some extra space, nothing else. Don't be afraid of it. Don't fear out of it. Okay, so this is the Kotlin file. Okay, we understood this much. Now let us talk about Kotlin file only. Okay, because we know the logic, we saw the logic. We are just going, I have created two versions of the same app. One is with object oriented programming. As I promised you, I will not let juniors down by introducing difficult concepts of object oriented programming, mixing them with the apps. For beginning, I'll try to keep it simple, and I'll try to make all the apps without the use of object oriented programming. So it's to keep my promise. I created this app or this logic without using object oriented programming. What I did here is, now let's see and understand what happens when you work in Kotlin, or what happens when you define logics for Kotlin. So before that, I want to make it very clear to you. I have told this thing, I guess, 10 times at least by now, that there are two files. One is XML, the other is Kotlin. XML is for creating views and placing them in some fashion that you call layout. Okay, that's the complete role of XML code. What do you do in Kotlin? You create logic. You try to give logic to every function. What will happen if I'll click this thing? What will happen if I'll swipe this thing? What will happen if I'll drag and drop this thing? This all is done in the Kotlin. What will happen if I'll add two and two in my UI? How will I give a four? So this all happens. Every kind of logic is going to happen in your main activity only. So that's the thing. So let's start with it. As we were doing, as we were saying, that there is a function called main, which is always called whenever you run that particular file or with that particular code. Similarly, in the Android development, we have some function, we have a function, but that is not the main function. Here we have this function called onCreate. This function's name is a literal. First of all, I want to tell you that this is a, which notation is this? Which notation? Is it Pascal? Is it Camel? Or is it your Snake? Tell me in the chat fast. On create. Which notation is it? Which notation was that? This on create is written in which notation? Camel, yeah, the correct answer. Why I asked you? Because this was a question in your assignment, that what is the use of camel notation. So people, we use camel notation for naming our variables, for naming our functions. So that is the use of camel notation. And also understand one thing, that whenever you are naming, just advice, or just like a style of coding, you can say that whenever you are naming a function, name it in form of a verb. See here, what is the verb? On create. Something will happen on create. It is something that is related to verb. And whenever, like, it is also a verb. Function, yeah, function, this is also a function. Roll is also a verb. Okay, or you could say roll the dice, that's also a verb. Some action is happening. So you name the functions in the camel notation, and you will always try to relate it to a verb, or it is better if you can name it on a verb only. But in case of attributes, or in case of naming of variables, you have to name them like nouns, like a current number. Current number is not a verb, it's noun. Okay, so that's a difference. It's just a style of coding. It's better if you follow it, and even you will get benefit out of it when you will be reading it. Okay, there is a meme, there's a famous meme which says that when I coded this, only two people were there in this whole universe who were able to understand it. The one was God, the other was me, myself. But when I am looking to it after 6 months, now there is just a single person who can understand this code, and that is God. Even I can't understand this now, because it happens when you're not following some certain kind of styles, when you're not doing comments on your program, then it is certain and it will happen, because you are a human and you have the tendency to forget things, that you will forget whatever you have coded, even if how it doesn't matter how good you are at coding. So yeah, so always comment things and always try to make them as expressible as they could be, okay, as you can make them expressible, like try your best. So see, what is the thing? We are not going to understand everything. See, this super keyword, don't go into this. This is something related to object-oriented programming, and you don't need it in the beginning, to be very, very, very honest with you. Now, the thing is that there is a roll button. Okay, so what is this roll button doing here? Let me not talk about roll button. Let's just say that roll button is that button which you created in XML file. That is the roll button. Let's not go into what exactly it means, like what I did here on the line number 14. I'll comment it out as that to be explained later. I'll explain it in a few minutes, but first of all, let's just get complete with, or let's just done with the logic first, and then we will go to the XML and we'll try to understand everything. And it is a place that is no lesser than a heaven. You will see that everything is so smooth, so good there. You can do a lot of creative work. If you are somebody who likes art, if you're somebody who likes creativity, then XML is something that you would definitely love. Okay, so to be explained later, I wrote it. Which part? To explain you that what is this thing. Just buy it as that this is a roll button. Okay, now coming to the roll function, this is the same function I told you, or I taught you, or I discussed with you in the Kotlin Playground. That was the reason of that assignment, which I gave in the early morning, that if you will attempt assignments, you will find it easier to like follow along in the sessions. Okay, so always try to at least solve the assignments whenever they are given. See, so the thing is, I just I wrote image source or image resource there. Okay, the thing I wanted to tally by the name of this image source or resource, whatever you want to say, was that here we don't want to print something. Okay, we are not going to print. It is Android development. We came out from Kotlin Playground. It is no more Kotlin program. Now we are in Android Studio. What we want to do, what is our what are our intentions? Our intentions are to display a different image for a different value, or a different random number that is generated. That could be 1 2 3 4 5, or else. Okay, so like else means 6 here, but in case when we will be doing it, this code in oops, let's just keep it for then only. Let's not discuss it right now. Okay, so variable image source. So these are the image sources. Now you will ask me that why are they written in so alien manner? So see, this is not an alien manner. This is very logical. What does R means? Now time for exploring the new directory. This is called resource directory. As the name suggests, it will keep all your resource at one place, or this is the only place you can keep your resources, to be very honest with you. So see, resource directory has further many other directories like their child directories, but everything is specific. Like every different you can't store the files of the nature which are there in values. You can't store them in drawable, and the files which are there in drawable, or the type of file which you store in drawable, you can't store them in values. That's there. You have to be specific when you are storing something. For example, this is layout. As we all know, everybody who is attending this video knows this thing, that layout is nothing but this arrangement of views or this XML file. Okay, so you will get all the XML files of your project in the layout directory. Now, for now, we will be talking about this layout and this drawable only. Okay, we will not be discussing anything more. We will be talking about the layout. The layout is simply that you will get this layout. Okay, we are not talking about it. Let me close it. But we have to do something in drawable. See, I already added images to this drawable file. But what if you were coding and you don't know how to add images? Let me delete it for you. Okay, see, Android Studio is very, very smart. You will appreciate its smartness with the time. You will become better at coding, better at Android development. For now, as you can see, when I'm going to delete it, it is asking me that do you want to delete is SAMI? or you want to do a save delete. What is the means of save delete? If I'll click this checkbox, then Android Studio will check whether this particular file is used anywhere or not before deleting it. So Android Studio always helps you in any way possible, every way possible, I would say. So let's see, the field driver.dice5 has one usage. Actually, I used it, so that is why it has a usage, right? I used it here, right here. You can see these dice one represent this, dice two represent, or refers is the better word, refers to this image, dice 3 refers to this, dice 4 to this, dice 5 to this, dice 6 to that one. So it is showing that there is one usage for every single image. I'm saying delete it anyway, I don't care. Okay, I deleted it. Now Android Studio started giving this red signal that it is angry now. Now you have something in your code that doesn't exist in your project. That are these files. See, what is r.drawable means? It's just the path. R means resources. R means resources. So if it's saying R, go to R, open resources, then go to drawable. Then here's something called dice one should be there for you to, or for the Android Studio to make or execute it, or to build an apk out of it. So it was required, but there is no dice image here. So I've pre-downloaded it for you guys. Let me minimize it as well. So these are the images. See, there is one more way of copying images, but I am telling you the easiest way and most direct way of adding images. You need not to do any kind of hectic work. You just need to copy it, and then you need to go to your Android Studio. Now I'm confused which one it was. It is with no, it was not Dice Roller. Dice Roller is the one with the oops or implementation, and Roll Dice app is one without the OOP implementation. So what I'll do is I'll go to this driver and I'll click on paste simply. It will ask me that whether this destination is correct or not. I'll say yes, it is. I'm very confident about that. Okay, so I copied it. This is that easy, that easy. Okay, that was that easy. I did that. Okay, so I copied all the files to the driver. Now they all are valid. These all entries or these all code lines are valid, and now it will work. Now, what is the thing? These are the resources, and I am using the logic which I explained you like 4 or 5 times by now for setting a image resource to the image, to the dice image. Dice image is nothing but the name of the image view which has the image of dice. Dice image is what? Dice image is the name of that view in the UI that will have, or that will contain the image of your dice. Now that much is over. Now we will be talking about Toast. But before talking about Toast, I want to open this app and I want to show you how it works so that you can understand that what actually Toast is and why do we use it. Before that, let me tell you one more thing. Come here and see at the line number 17, I did something like roll button dot set on click listener. Now what is listener? See, your code, see, UI is something that like you have this phone. Okay, you have this phone, you will have things like, let me open it. See, okay, let's say let's say this is a let's say this is a phone. Okay, this is a app, this is LinkedIn app. Okay, on this LinkedIn app, what do I want to do anything, but like for a moment everything is visible. Okay, everything is visible. Let's say that this button, this small button of chat is visible on my LinkedIn app, but I'm not clicking on it. So it is not, Android apps are not programs which works instantly. They are not built for a way that you will execute them and they will work and they will complete their task and they will finish off and they will shut themselves down. It's not the way Android apps work. What is the way? So I have this thing, I have this app. This button will rest on its own place forever, or for the time I am not clicking it. But the moment I click it, it will open like this, it will open like this, and it will work. So is there anybody who is listening to everything that is happening? Yes, there is. So there are functions which are known as listeners, whose task or duty is to be vigilant, be active, and listen to any command, or sorry, any interaction that a user is going to make with that particular view. In our case, that view is role button. And what we are using, this is also a function. And you will ask me that this function doesn't have parenthesis. I will not agree with you that this is a function. No, it is also a function. It is a lambda function. Lambda function doesn't has this parenthesis, this set of parenthesis. It's a lambda function, but you need not to go through that. You need to understand that there is something called listener. What listeners do, listeners simply listen to something that will happen to your view to which they are connected or associated. So in our case, that view is role button, and it is saying that set on click listener. What do I mean by set on click listener? I am saying that I am attaching a listener that will listen for clicks, and once somebody clicks that particular button, I'll execute the function called roll. Okay, so that's how we will do things here. And you understood the logic, I guess. Did you understand the logic? Just say a yes or no. Did you understand the logic? What I told, what was the logic? Are you getting it? What is the logic? Just say a yes or no. Yeah. At least say a no, like, yeah. Mohit got it. Okay, nice, Mohit. Anybody else? I guess there is some lag, like, well, while I say and when I receive your comments and your chats. Yeah, there are a lot of yes. Like, yeah, now I can move confidently to the next topic. So it is a roll dice app. Okay, so this is the roll dice app. So you got the execution part. Now I'll open it for you and I'll show you how it works. I'll explain you what everything was doing there. Don't worry, we are going to end this. If you are waiting for the completion of this session, don't worry. I'll complete everything in 10 minutes. It's just 10 minutes are more than sufficient for me to complete or wrap up this session. Don't worry for that. Just let it open. This is Gradle build. Okay, this was the thing I was talking about, that it takes a lot of time, and if you are using AVD, that is a Android virtual device, then my PC might be cursing me at this moment that, oh man, what are you doing with me? What wrong I did with you that you are taking revenge from me by doing these many things. Okay, so leave the drama. Coming to the app, so this app has this button we were referring. I told about that button, roll button, roll button, roll button. So this is the button. So our duty will be to change the name of this button. If I forget to change the name of the button, please remind me in the comment section. If I in case I forget, it's not possible, but let's see. When I click on this button, a logic starts. This click listener becomes active. It's like there is a click and on the roll button. So what it will do, it will execute this roll function. It will call this roll function, and when this roll function is called, it will choose a resource and then randomly choose a resource out of 6 different resources. What are these resources? These resources are different image files. Okay, so then it will randomly pick a image file and then it will set it as the image resource for that view. Of which view I'm talking about? This view. This is a view in which these images are getting displayed. Okay, so button will click, roll will start, and that's how you do this whole thing. Now the time comes for toast. What is toast? It is a time for toast. Tug, tug, tug. No, it's yeah. You can say that it is the same toast. But what is the syntax of it? I'll remove it. So at least I'll comment it. I'll write it again so that you can understand it better. I'm not writing the redundant part. I could have declared a variable, could have initialized the toast inside it, and then could have called a show function from that particular variable. But I'm removing everything that is redundant. I'm just going to do whatever is necessary. I will write toast, then I'll write make text because I want to make text. There is something called context. See, now context is just the same thing. You are, if you're talking about any logic, that logic will belong from this file only. But what if you have hundred of files? That context will be different. Okay, so you have to give context. So in this case, I will give this, use this keyword, this keyword. I'm saying that the keyword this, the keyword named by this, is something that says, yeah, this is the context. This is means whichsoever file I'm on right now, that is the context only. So I'm writing this. That is a keyword. It's like it. We use it in scope valued functions or scope functions, you can say. In that we use that keyword it. We'll come to it if we get some time, or basically in any informal session we will talk about the or any assignments I'll try to cover out scope functions. So let's just leave it for now. Let's just be on the topic. So now I need to write some text. So I'll write what kind of text I can write, that you got some number. Let's say, what number can you get? You can get this current number. Okay, you will get this current number. So you got, now I'll use this dollar symbol with this curly braces, and I'll write current number. Just for the sake of removing redundant code, I can remove these curly braces, because this is not required now. But if there are many values, or there is a set of values like operations are there inside something, then you have to, then if there are more than one interpretation of something, then you have to place braces or brackets, depend on the condition or depend on the thing you are working upon. That's the only logic. Wait for a moment. Let me connect my laptop to power. Yeah, now it's fine. Let me check if it is on this 100% performance or not. Okay, it's on this best performance. No, we are all set to move ahead. So you got the current number. Now at the end, I have to pass the length. So length can be passed, you like this toast. Either you can pass short length, or you can pass a long length. Short means it will display for few seconds, or for long it will display for many seconds. If you remember, when the first message I did on that WhatsApp group, I told you that there is a bug. I showed you the APK and as well as the video, the screen recording of this particular dice rolling app, and I told you that there is some kind of bug. Actually, that was not a bug. It's just I used that length long, so it was displaying 3 even after you clicked that roll button, and the new values 2, even then it was displaying 3, because its the duration of the display of 3 was not over. So instead of that, use short notation or short length, just to be on the safer side. And please don't forget to add show here, otherwise it will be useless and you will forget it. Like, if you're a beginner, you will forget it for many times, and then you will think of like, why it is not showing me toast. Then remember that we told you that you have to add a show here. Okay, then run the app again. When you do it, terminate. Okay, you got 5, and click on button. This is called toast. Like in modern app, or you can say we can use snack bars. So you can learn more about snack bars on your own. It is not something I'm going to cover even in informal sessions, but you can explore it on your own. So you got 2. This is a toast. Okay, so that was all about logic. Let us just see the logic for the class version or the object-oriented programming version of this code as well. So this logic you can get on the website, the Google one, the website of the Google. You can get it from there. So simply what I did here was I declared a class named dice, and I added, or you can say I declared, I declared a variable named number of faces, similar to what I did then, and I wrote this function, or I added this function called roll dice inside it. I remove all the redundant code from it and directly returned a value which was something between or something from one or num face. Num face is nothing but an integer you give while creating the object, and you will select a random value and you will throw a integer. So what will happen after that is that this is the roll dice function. Roll dice function, actually there are 2 roll dice function. There is some issue with this thing. You can remove one of it and you can work with the other one. My dice 6 roll dice. Okay. It's see, there is no need of using 2 functions like here. If I have written this code, so I'm explaining it. Otherwise it is redundant to use 2 functions. You could use only a single functions. You could all do everything from a single function. Like what I'm doing here is, I don't know why I did this. Roll dice, I just declared some variables as what we did there as well. From there I mean Kotlin Playground, and from there I choose a image resource from here. And once I get an image resource, I display a toast. That is something that is different from the story we are talking about. Toast is just something, it's just a message which comes. Other thing I did was dice image. I set the image resource as my image resource. My image resource was nothing but this variable's name, and you now understand what does it mean. One thing new you can see in this code is dice image dot content description. Okay, what does it mean? The thing is, whenever you are adding an image in your UI, you have to give. It's not have to. It's just it is good. It is not must to give. If you don't give a content description of an image, even then your app will work. But it is advisable, and you should give the content description to image. Why do you need content description for image? The thing is that there are functionalities, or there are apps like this where who read everything for you. Like somebody is he's blind, he can't read, or he has low vision, he can't read things properly. Those kind of people use it. So, or you are just reading your ebook in you set it by some agent, and that agent, like a Cortona or anything, is reading it for you, or like a Alexa is reading it for you. Then what will happen? It will read text for you. That's pretty much basic. But what will happen if an image comes in the way? Then if you haven't specified any content description for it, it will be hard for it to for that agent who is reading that complete document for a person or a user. It will be difficult for that agent to tell that user that there is some image. If you put a content description, that then let's say Alexa will say that this after this text there is an image of this thing, there is an image of apple, there is an image of apple tree, there is image of anything. So that is the need, and that is the use of content description. So that much is it. And like, I don't want to confuse you, but you can do this function thing here only. So better you do it on your own, because this same code is given, or the rectified code is given, as we are running low on time, this rectified code is given on your Google platform, where you can find every source of your course. So everything is there. So we learned this logic. If you will run it, it will run in the same manner, absolutely in the same manner. There is no difference. I'm just showing you just for the sake of showing. Now it is the time. Just give me 10 minutes. Just give me 10 minutes. Or if you have anything to do, you can go, and you can always come back on YouTube and can watch the video, because now it is important for me to cover the coming part as well in this video only, because we don't have that much time or that much sessions to cover everything. So role you got for just the same thing. Okay, you got 6, you got 3. This is just, I think, you got 3. Okay, so toast is not something you can set a end duration. You have to work with whatever is given. Let me try if I can give a milliseconds here. Let me see. Okay, you can, but the thing is you have to be in f. Like, what does f mean? Okay, can somebody tell me why I wrote f here? What do I mean by 600f? 600f, what do I mean by 600f? I'm just waiting, because I know even if you have written the answer, I'll get to see it after a few seconds. Come on, come on. Why I wrote F? Let me show it again. Huh. Why I wrote F after 600? Is there any answers? Okay. I guess. I guess. Okay, okay. Don't worry, don't worry. Okay, so see, whenever you are specifying time, first of all, understand this thing. Whenever you will specify time, it will always be in milliseconds. Whenever you are talking about Android, it will always be in milliseconds. And the other thing you must remember is, wait, I'm getting some error. I have to check that. See, whenever you want to check an error, you have to just hover your mouse over that error, and it will display you that what is the error. So I see that this make text is not allowing me to do this thing. Let it be like toast dot something, whatever it was, length short. Let's not go into this for now, we have very less time. So let's don't do this, but just remember that f was signifying that it has now become a float. I wrote 600, that was an integer, but then when I wrote f after it, it changed the data type of 600 from int to float. That was it. Okay, so that is it from the logic side. Now let's come to this thing. don't worry, there's not a huge amount of thing, it's just a small thing, it's matter of few minutes, I guess 7 minutes I'll take. So let us first introduce if we are coming to this thing, we will talk everything about it as I promised. So let's first talk about that, or what we call the different things in this particular window. So just come to terminologies. So in the terminologies, like let me open it in a larger screen so that you can see. Sorry for the low pixel quality of the image, I wasn't able to get it in the good picture quality. So leaving all that, let's see that this thing, this part is called palette. See, this is called palette, even it is written over here, palette contains various views and view groups that you can drag into your layout. So it is very simple that you have, as I told you, there are lots and lots of views, and there are lots and lots of layouts as well. So what you can do is you can directly drag and drop it to your screen, and you can get it added to your XML file directly. You need not to code anything. You might be thinking that what is the need of XML then, if you can drag and drop everything to the screen? You will get to know it, not in this session, but in the coming session you will get to know what is the need of XML. Okay. After that, there is something called component tree. So what is a component tree? Whenever you are defining a layout, so many of the times, or I'll say every time, it will happen that you will have a layout, under that you will have some views, and you will have a layout inside a layout, and this whole hierarchy will keep on continue till the moment you get your desired, what to say, desired layout or desired UI screen. See, things can get very tricky when they are at the advanced level, but don't worry about that, it's just your beginning. So component tree just uh, tells you about the components which are there on the screen, which you have added. Like there is a button, so here it came. See this gap, this indentation, it's showing that constraint layout is the parent layout of this view, that the name of this view is my button. So this indentation is specifying that. Okay, you got that much. After that, if you have added 2 or 3 more views, as you will add in your dice roller app, or one more image view, you will see it right below it. Okay, that's their toolbar is something that everybody in this whole world who knows computer knows. Okay, toolbar is something you, that is a bar where you can get tools. These are just normal tools. I'll come to it when I will open it on Android Studio. I'll tell you what tools are there which you need. Okay, not every tool is there for your purpose, so everything is not there for your purpose. Just don't, you can explore everything, but if you are not very sure about anything, you can Google it, you can search it on your own. And if you are not, even then, if you're not able to understand it, just ask it on group, and if it is not something that is relevant, I will say that leave it for now, otherwise I'll tell you what exactly it is. So after the design editor, this fourth part, this overall section of this screen is called design editor. So you know what is an editor. Editor is place where you write code, or a design editor is place where you do design, or you actually make design. So editor is something where you make code, and design editor is something where you make design. After that, there are attributes. You will know what are attributes just in few moments. And then there is view mode. Now we will be talking about view mode, that there are 3 ways you can see your XML files in, or you can say your complete design in. I'll tell you more about it. Then the last one is the seventh one, that is not that significant. You can just see and understand that this is this pan control. You know pan, if you want to drag something, you use pan tool. This plus is for zoom, and this plus and minus are for zoom, and this is the ratio. It has nothing to take with something you are gonna do in this app, so leave it for now. Now coming to the actual Android Studio, and let's start exploring. This is the palette. As I told you that there are lots and lots of views, so you can see this. These are the just common views: text view, button view, image view, recycler view, fragment view, scroll view, switch view. Okay, so there are text views, so you can see how many type of text views are there. Okay, there are a list of text views. Similarly, for buttons, you can see there are a lot of views. You might not know about chips, but chips is something that is also very important. Even radio button is something that you are gonna work out with in your next app. After that, there are toggle button, the switch, floating action button is also something that is very 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 common. And after that, you can see widgets are like image view, web view. Web view is something you can add a web view, and you can run a maybe a YouTube video inside it, because YouTube is something that is a website and you can run it inside it. And after there's a calendar view, sorry, and progress bar is something that is integral part of any app. Layouts are there, linear layout. I told you that there are two types of linear layout. One is vertical, other is horizontal. There is one more thing that is called frame layout. Frame layout is used when you have to do with something with fragments. Light for now, we will talk about it later. There are spinners, you might not know spinners, so it's your homework, or you can take it as a your homework to learn and at least see whatever they mean. Like, you should see what exactly scroll view means. You could go to internet, you can just type what scroll view is, click on the images tab of Google, you will see what is scroll view and how does it looks like. So the similar thing goes for everything. You can explore it on your own. There are helpers, there are you can use map view, you can use add view. If you want to add ads in your app, you will use this view to add apps. And this is the last but not the least, we have legacy, in which we have grid layout, grid view, grid. We have talked about grid layout, but other things are also there, like relative layout, list view, and things like these. Now coming on to these things, okay, I'll just click it. Okay, let me just do it. Just let me just drag and drop one thing for you so that you can understand it. Then we will work with the existing design only. Let's drag a button, and let's drop it here. Now, there is a warning. What is this warning saying? Missing constraints in the constraint layout. What does it mean? As I told you earlier, that if you don't specify what is the position, you didn't say anything about the position of this button. Where will this button lie in the complete screen when your app will open up in your mobile device? Where will this button go? So you didn't specify any location, so it will go to the origin. What is the origin? This top left corner, to this position it will go to this origin. Okay, but you don't want that to happen. You don't want that we don't want everything to get accumulated at the origin. So what we will do, we will add constraints to it. So this is the one constraint, this is one constraint. It looks like a game, and it pretty much feels like the same as well. Okay, so you will add the constant. You can add constant between a view and the parent. It is called parent. This complete screen is called parent. And you can also add constant between two views. So this view has three constraints with parent and a single constraint with the other view. Okay, now I'm removing it because we don't need this thing. So like when you will create these things, you can see how I created this. After that, when you want to see things like if you have made something, if you had made a view, now you need some ID for that view, right? You can't just uh, how will you give the reference to this view? You need an ID. So you give a ID from this ID attribute. You write layout width. This is don't confuse that it is written layout over here, but we are talking about views. It is just a convention of writing in the studio, that even if you are going to specify the width or height of a view, you will write it in the manner of layout width and layout height. So don't be worried about that. So we are writing it 200 dp. Now what dp is, see, there are units in this real world as well. Like we have units like meter, centimeter, kg, millimeter, milliliter, so and so on. Similarly, we have units in Android Studio as well, in Android devices and Android phones as well. Why do we need these special units? Why can't we define things in centimeter, millimeter, or inches? The thing is, you are not developing F for a single phone. See, there are thousands of varieties of phones, okay, over there in this complete globe. So every phone has some different DPI. What is DPI? DPI means dots per inch, or you can say dots per inch. Like there's the area of inch square, you can say, consider, and how many dots are there. Like more the number of dots you have, the more your quality of image or the more quality of video you will have on your device. So but I want that if I am declaring something, or if I am defining something of some height, okay, if I define it like this length, let's say 20, I don't have any unit. So it is possible that 20 dots are covered very in a very small. Let me draw it. Let's just not do it for sake, just for the sake of doing. And let's, this is one device, this is the second device, and it has one, Just a moment. Again, if you have any other work, you can go. The video will be live. Sorry, the video is now live, but then it will be there in YouTube forever. Can come back, see it. I have to cover it anyway. Person. So let's say that is 1 inch square area, and it is the four dots here. Just dot doesn't mean it should be circle. Okay, just a way of saying. Now I'll add one more to it. K A F. Just a moment. And okay, I'm almost done. Okay. Okay, so it has four dots per unit inch, or you can say DPI, dots per inch. Now, what I'll do is I'll add one more like this. Okay. Now, how many are there? People might be thinking, why is he not copying and pasting it? Even I am thinking that. Okay, so finally, I am I'm proud of myself. I completed this figure. So it's a very pathetic image, but please bear with me. So there are 4 into 4, 16. 16 dots per inch square area, and there are four dots. So if I say that four, if I say a unit of two, okay, if I say a unit of one, let's say a unit of one, what will it mean? For this phone or this mobile device, it will be this length. For this device, it will be only this length. I don't want it to happen that for some device my banners or my images are this huge, and for other device it is only this much. And you can't believe that these ratio can vary a to a very great ratio, to a very big difference, or this ratios could be very large. In that case, it will be like your one is this much, and the one of the other screen is like even half of it. I don't want the thing to collapse or expand just depending on the screen DPIs. Okay, I don't want that. So for that purpose, what do I use? I use a unit called DP, that is density independent pixel. I'm saying whatever your density is, whatever the density of your pixels are, I don't care about that. It will be independent of it. So that unit is called DP. Similarly, we will use this unit called DP for all the views, but when we are defining unit for some text, we will be using the unit called sp, that is called scalable pixels. So that's just the same. You It's just a way of defining units. For layouts or for views it is dp, for others it is sp. Not for others, for text it is sp. So what else is there? You can see that there are a lot of attributes you can find out. So like there are constraints. They define that your start. What do I mean by my start? My start means the left edge of this image is constrained to the start of parent. What do I mean by start of parent? This is parent, and the start of parent means left edge of parent. So this connection is saying that start of this view is constrained with the start of parent, and you can see its pictorial representation as this arrow. Okay, this springy arrow. Okay, so similarly, the all of this is defined. Layout width and layout depth we have already explained what they are. You can set rotation, you can set anything, you can set background, you can set scale type. You will learn more about scale types in coming videos, coming sessions. It is an important thing. Alpha means opacity. You can reduce it from 100 to 0, sorry, 0, I guess 1 to 0, or it might be 100 to 0. It should be 1 to 0, I guess. As far as I remember, it is 1 to 0. Yeah, you can reduce it from 1 to 0, whatever you want. And there are a lot of attributes you could use. Every view will have some common attributes like width and height. Everybody needs it, and obviously the id, but it will have some different kind of attributes specific to that particular view. Like there will be attribute of image source in the image view, but there will be no attribute of image resource in button. Okay, button view, because it is not required. What's the sense of that? Similarly, you can see everything here. Now what else is there? You can set margin from here. What do I mean by margin is, like, this is a roll button is connected to it. Now roll button, I can from bottom I can give it a margin. You can't see it, I guess, but then I gave a margin of 250. It just shifted towards the top for 250 dp from the bottom. You can even see it in the this is written over here, the 250 dp. So this was all about margins. I told you in the first session what is the difference between margin and padding. We will learn to give padding as well, though you can give it from here only. You can search for paddings, whatever you want to give, just search it over here, search it over here, you will find it right here. Like this padding is left, this padding is top and right bottom. Wherever you want to give the padding, you can just go and just give the padding. You can explore a lot of attributes on your own, and that marks the end of this session. So we learned a lot. I will ask you and I'll advise you and I'll suggest you to come and see this video again. If you left some part of it, just come and see it again. And I hope that you learned something out of it. And we will be active on the WhatsApp group. We will be talking more about it. We will be doing many assignments over it. So don't worry, you will get everything at the end. Though it is possible that you might be feeling very overwhelmed seeing all this at once. Even I felt the same. Even everybody feels the same. So that's human nature. So don't worry for that. We will be able to do it at the end. And it is something that is very easy. It's just okay, so I just by mistake I click on leave the studio instead of clicking on stop sharing my screen. So sorry for that. So we are pretty much done with today's session, and I hope that you learned a lot. I said, and we will be active on WhatsApp. If you think that if you learned something from here, you can just give it a like. That's all you. That's it. That's the least you can do. So apart that, subscribe the channel and let's meet on the next session. Be excited. I am very excited for the next session. Hope you are also excited for the next session as well. So see you there. Good evening. Bye. Bye. Shish, can we stop the session now?